Because the holographic field is such an abstract concept, I thought I would just go into just a few things about what is a hologram. I mean, I don't know if anybody has some ideas of what the holographic field is or what your holographic field is.
Well, I've heard it explained like the old toy we used to have with the Viewmaster, where you can kind of put angles of images together and get a 3D kind of image.
Mm-hmm.
And for, putting 2D beams of light that create a 2D image and you bring in another beam of light for 3D and you kind of the whole thing. But the idea is that all parts of it contain the wholeness. So if you extract out a part, it still contains all of it.
Yeah.
So I'd love to hear more about that because that's the mind structure.
Right. Okay. Does anybody else want to add anything? So I'll just start here. So what is a hologram? So if you look in the person who coined this in 1947, basically from holos, meaning whole, and gramma, meaning message. So it's like the whole message. It's the whole message that exists around us. We have this field of information that's really unseen. It's things that, as we speak a word, there's a frequency, a vibration, a wave. That doesn't end just as we are done with our sentence or a thought form. It's information, it's messages that we connect with each other, that we send forth. It's in this energy field that's all around us. So this is one of my favorite quotes, and it's all about being wrong. And it says, "It isn't that the world of appearances is wrong. It's that there aren't objects out there at one level of reality. It's that there aren't objects out there at any level of reality. It's that if you penetrate through and look at the universe with a holographic system, you arrive at a different view." And what does that mean? That what we think we know, or what we thought we knew, or what we were taught, isn't really reality. There's a whole other perception. I mean, we see, if you watch the BBC News, you get a certain perception. We can all watch the same event, witness the same accident, and all perceive different aspects of it. Does it mean that one person is right, one person is wrong? No, it's just a different reality that we exist in. And I think that's really part of where we are on this planet today, is that we're opening up to a new consciousness, that there isn't just I'm right and you're not, that we can all coexist and all be, working together for a greater good. So this really, I said, hello world, 1947, Dennis Gabor really was the first person who made the idea of the hologram possible. I don't know for this, and this is for those of us who grew up when the first Star Wars came out, R2-D2 came out, and he projected this hologram of Princess Leia, and she delivered a message. And back in the 70s, I think that's when the movie came out, it seemed so futuristic. But if you watched the Olympics and the closing ceremonies, that was all holograms. That was all lasers. That was all things that didn't exist. There's actually a holographic zoo where you walk through, and the animals, you would think you're interacting with them, but they're not even there. So where is holographic technology? It's on your credit card. It's in medical. They actually have holographic 3D MRIs where they can actually create the whole thing. The military use it. I mean, we see it in Iron Man. They deny that the technology exists. I don't know. I mean, one of the best ways to hide the information is put it right out there. Information storage, you think about when you used to have a floppy disk And that was a lot of information. And then it got to be a zip disk, and then it was a whole, 100 megabytes. Wow. And you think, how can they just keep stacking that information? The mainframes don't get bigger. It just gets put in a different place. It's done in a holographic reference. And then it's also used in art, similar to what you saw in the Olympics. So this is just a little video. Hopefully it will play. We'll see if it plays. If it doesn't play, it was supposed to queue up. Let's see. It may or may not. If it doesn't, I'll play it from my other drive. Because, let me just see. I apologize. There it goes. See if it will play. Oh, no, it escaped me. No, I gotta go back. I'm sorry. Hold on a minute. I'm gonna play this for you just for a second, because it's really helps. Hold on a minute. Or maybe I can't. You can see everything that's on my desktop. I apologize.
It doesn't surprise us that that's
Here, let's see if it'll play off of here. Okay, see if it'll play. No. It played before. Okay, so see if it'll go from there. Oh, see if this one will play. Nope. All right, well, I'll show it to you after for those of you that want to see, but if it was actually a video from Star Trek, and it's the holodeck. I don't know if anybody's Star Trek fans, but it's a reality that exists. There's walls that are built up. You swear you're walking through the forest, but really it's not there. So, if you really want to bend your mind and you say, well, is this massage table here? Are any of these things, maybe I'm just projecting this in my hologram, that you're all here tonight listening to me. So part of what, and this has gone through centuries. Da Vinci said, learn to see, realizing that everything is connected to everything else. And when you start to do that and you start to understand how the hologram is, there's information in that hologram that you can access to not only change physical things, you can change perhaps, your finances, depending on, your viewpoint on how you choose to see your reality. Mental health, we don't see mental illness. But what if we were to just tweak it a little bit and see something else in another reality? So there's an electromagnetic field, and I've used this slide before. This is from HeartMath Institute. And the field is a torus shape, and it's the energy that's emitted from the heart. And within that field is lots of wonderful information. That field can be measured far beyond what the field that we see by dropping into a coherent state where we think about something that we love or something that we're grateful for. The heart will go in a nice coherent sine wave. And that field that's emitted can be measured by devices that are all around the planet. And what the HeartMath have done is if you want, you can go on to their website and you can become part of what they call the Global Coherence Project. So if there is perhaps an act of nature like a hurricane, groups of people gather together and drop into the field of their heart in an effort to try to shift what's going on. And the science behind it is really, truly amazing. So about 6,000 years ago, the Chinese mapped out another unseen field, the meridians that are in the body. How they did that? I don't know. Some people say that it came from India, some people that it came from China, but they're invisible fields that connect throughout the body. And when I'm working tonight with whoever wants to volunteer in accessing some of the information in the field, sometimes the things that we think will show up don't show up at all. And so you'll hear me not talk about a gallbladder or a kidney or any of the other meridians by name, because I'm not trying to create something. I just want to look at the energy field. That's all. I want to see what information is in the hologram. I'm not interested. I actually brought some books that you can, if you want to really look something up, you can. But you'll find that things shift when you go into that space of I don't know. You go into the space of, sometimes I'll go shopping for shoes. I don't shop for shoes. I don't really like to shop. But I'll just think about maybe walking my dogs or whatever it is. And it's not that I'm not present, but I don't want to create more of what somebody doesn't want. I work with people via distance, and a lot of people say, well, how does that work? Well, in the quantum field, there's no time, no space, no matter, no distance. And so by going in and seeing what I find, I just empty my thoughts. And I see whatever looks interesting to me. You'll find that my two favorite words are interesting and different. What did you notice that was interesting? And what did you notice that was different? Because in noticing something that is different, you know the field is changing. So if I were, to take somebody's sweater and there was a thread and I pulled at that thread and you thought, oh my God, it's unraveling, and they try to pull it back in. Is that pattern ever going to be the same? No, it's not. I mean, it can look pretty much the same. You can pull the threads as tight as you want, but it will never be the same. And it's the same thing in working with the field, in the holographic field. So, you want to notice, it may not be what you think you want, but the field is infinitely intelligent. And so you just have to trust and allow whatever is meant to happen. So again, they've mapped out within each one of the spinal points vital organs that are actually have a corresponding link to the spine. If you think about our nervous system, what is our nervous system? It's an electrical system. Wherever we have an electrical system, we have a charge. We have, again, something that's being emitted. For those of us who grew up in a time when there were no cell phones, the idea of not being attached to a cord to be able to talk to somebody seemed so foreign. So to be able to communicate through this electrical system that we have that is infinitely intelligent isn't so far off. We've really, one of the things when I work with people is really teaching them about reclaiming their power. Each one of us are really amazing, powerful beings. We are powerful creators. Our thoughts create things. Our words create things. I'm always try to be very mindful of my words. I will, choose not to say the word negative. I mean, there is polarities and opposite positive, but I always choose, and I had an instance, for those of you who know me, I do dog rescue, and not everybody likes what I do with lots of dogs. And I had an incident with some neighbors that were being not so nice. And part of me wanted to go to that field where they were vibrating from. And instead, you know what I did? I grabbed my chalk, and I drew hearts on my sidewalk. I got signs painted up, where's the love? 500 of them to post all over the city, so if you see them, they're from me. But you know what? I don't want to vibrate from where they are. I walk in magic and wonderment, and all sorts of amazing things happen to me. And I'll tell you, and every one of you, I always truly believe that if we are in the presence of somebody for more than 5 minutes, they have a message to give us, wisdom to share. It's whether or not we choose to listen to it. And again, I won't, when I go through here, we'll talk about the organ systems, but it's just a field of information. So this particular model, and this isn't anything fancy. It's like Pacatans, $1.99. There's nothing special about it, except for the fact that I've marked points on it. Do these points really exist? Does your skull exist on the top of your head? No, it doesn't. But one of my teachers mapped this out. And it was mapped out actually by one of his teachers, a man named M.L. Reese. And M.L. Reese was a very unique individual. He was a chiropractor, but he really, probably 1930s, 1940s, was one of the first people who talked about the energy field of the body. And he said that the jaw was like a circuit breaker. You think about when we clench our teeth, what does that do? We tense up, we hold our breath. Where do we hold the energy? You see people all the time, they're inherently trying to unlock that. But what he believed that it was like a switchboard, so it kind of shut off that communication to the brain. So does this represent, these actual points? No, but in the holographic field, it does. Now these points that you see on the front of the skull are what Dr. Bartlett, when he was working and developing his teachings from what M.L. Reese taught, sort of realized that these were actually holographic entry points into the body. And depending on, and you'll see it, I'm going to demonstrate, depending on the intelligence of the individual, it's not anything that I'm doing. I'm going to ask whoever wants to volunteer for their body to go find the information that it needs, because their body knows it, not me. And so can be no ego involved in any of this, because it really has to do with you as an empowered person, you as a body of information, that maybe that switch, that circuit got shut so tight that it doesn't open and it doesn't allow for that to be found. But all we're going to do is we fix what we find. And that's all. We're not really doing anything. So one of the things that Dr. Bartlett talks about, he's one of my teachers, I've been studying with him going on 9 years now. And I will tell you that he is an amazing individual, very compassionate. I go to every class that I can of his, that I'm able to. I was just in Philadelphia at a class, and he's teaching another one in Chicago next week. I might go. And I've been fortunate. He actually asked me to be one of 4 students to do some very specialized training and teachings and new discoveries with him. So I'd like to bring him to Pittsburgh, and one of these days, maybe we will have him here. But so what he talks about is thinking in patterns. So if you look at everything is patterns. The carpet has a pattern. My pants have a pattern. You find patterns in the ceiling. We are living, breathing patterns of information. You look at us as cells. You look at us as tissues, organs. It's all patterns of information that form what we are. We have patterns that we get into, whether it be if you've ever met somebody who had a boyfriend in college and they could never quite get over that boyfriend, that can be a pattern. Again, it's just information, and it's about unraveling it. But what he says is, as you start to look at the patterns, and as I've started to work with people over the years, it really becomes its own language. And as you sort of form distinctions, again, does this point right here, is that really C2? Is that the cervical spine too? No. But if I were to take, those same representations of, the meridian points that were mapped out in the acupuncture, and I was to lay my acupuncture, doll over those points, I can elicit changes in somebody that's in Atlanta working on this, or even pictures in my book, because it's all in the holographic field. So, and that's just me. So that's it. I'm just going to turn this off. And so probably the best way to demonstrate this is actually to work with somebody. And we can talk about, so if somebody would like to volunteer, Renee, we'll pick your head. Yeah, you can come up. So there's lots of different ways that you can do this, and even for yourself. So, and I'm just going to ask you to do this too. So one of the things that I want you to do is I want you to sort of make, for yourselves, I want you to make a window. Okay, so just create a window. Okay, and I want you to sort of feel the glass in the window. I want you to be able to slide it up, put your hand through where there's no glass. Okay, so now close your window. So if you feel that and that everything's solid, you can't open that, correct? There's no access point. But now if you slide it open and then you put your hand through, right? You feel the difference? You can't put it through versus you can put it through. So when I work with somebody, all I'm going to do is I'm looking for access points of information. So when I'm working with somebody, I want them to tell me a story, because in their story there might be access points. So for yourself, if you were trying to do this, whether it be for a physical challenge or an energetic challenge or financial challenge, you want to look for those same access points. And it might not be where you think it is. So, and you start to get better. I know for a lot of people it's an abstract way of doing things. But so, Renee, I know, Renee, so go ahead. You can share with me, just tell me what's going on.
Right now?
Yeah, what did you volunteer? What was making you curious?
Just there's been some physical health challenges.
Can you hear her?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
No. I've had some physical health challenges in the past month and a half with, I have aspiration pneumonia, and I'm having difficulty swallowing and things like that right now.
Okay. So one of the first things that happens, and do you want to just share a little bit of your background?
I worked for Verizon I worked for Verizon for 30 years, but I had a lot of health challenges, and I retired early and wanted to get into healing. I ended up going to school and getting my RN license, but I'm doing nursing, which I never felt like was something I wanted to do. I wanted to do energy work, and I just have been plagued once in a while by these health challenges.
Okay. All right. Let's turn off. Does this turn off?
Yeah.
Is it just the button? Okay, I got it. Okay. So one of the first things that I want to do in anybody's field that I work with, we have a fight or flight stress response. what happens to us, and it could be not even anything that happens to you directly. It could be you witnessing an accident that's right next to you. It could be somebody said an unkind word to you in the grocery store, even somebody tailgating you and honking. It puts you into a different space. So as Renee was sharing, what I do is I sort of track information. And so I'm just going to, if it's okay if you could turn. Can you guys see okay over there?
Yeah.
Okay. So all I want to do is just test her, and it's not a strength test, it's not a muscle test. All I want to do is just see where she's at. So just hold there, and I want you to close your hands. So all I'm going to do is just press with one finger. So this side she's strong, and if you want, you can, if there's somebody else that wants to verify it, you're more than welcome to. But this side, she's not. So what that does is it tells me that she's lateralized her stress. Does it mean that that's a good thing or a bad thing? No, it just is information.
Which side was strong?
The left, this side, yeah, it's just weaker. If you want, you can come and
No, I
tell, yeah. So in the holographic field, that's just information. I know that this side of the body is strong. It has information that this side of the body needs. So if I was to just tap that, and I want to take that information, and I want to give it to this side of her body, and all I'm going to do is just, it's a point right behind the crown chakra. All I do is, if you were inputting something in your calculator, all I'm going to do is I'm going to put that in there. And I'm just going to have her and look down to the right with your eyes only, up to the left, down to the left, up to the right. And I'm just going to tap that point back, and this is just sort of like hitting the equal sign. And I'm just going to retest you. Okay?
Can I tell you something I already noticed, a difference?
We'll just test you. So just hold. Okay? So see the difference? And all I'm asking is for her body to notice that information. I didn't do anything other than that. So go ahead. You can.
I was just going to say, in the beginning, I felt like
Here. Wait, you go
my jaw was more clenching, and just once she did this, I literally felt a release in my jaw. It was
Okay.
very noticeable.
Okay. So in working with patterns, and again, it's sort of the same thing. Like if somebody were coming to me and they wanted something financial, first thing I want to do is I want to clear any fight or flight patterns. So again, what I want you to do is I want you to actually chew something now. Like pretend like you're chewing something, and I'll explain this to you. So again, put your hands like that and hold. Okay, so now what happened? She chewed something, right? It changed the pattern. She went weak. This time she didn't stay weak on one side. It's both sides. So typically and this is just over the course of the years that I've found, women, and it's interesting that men will more often than not go more into digestive fight or flight, where they'll develop digestive issues, where women will have more hormonal things. Because if a bear was chasing you in the woods, you're not going to stop and have a snack. You're going to go and you're going to get safe, and then the body's going to kind of just relax. So again, now I don't know what to do. So I'm in a space of I don't know, which is a really great space to be. So again, I can take the information here, but was both sides. So there wasn't any information for me to find. So if you can imagine the body being dyslexic, it doesn't see the information. It's like being on your cell phone, and all of a sudden, like, can you hear me? Can you hear me? Her body can't hear what I'm asking it. So what I want to do is there's just, right, the Chinese mapped it out as K27, master meridian point. And all I'm going to do is I'm just going to hit right, left, right. It's just a master dyslexic point. And then I'm going to tap that in, and I'm going to scan. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to ask her body to go find the information that it needs to correct that pattern. And a lot of times what happens in the holographic field, when you scan, and you can do it with your finances, or you can do it with whatever it is that you want to change in your field, you'll feel the energy start to flow. And I don't know if you can feel anything, but...
I can feel my heart more.
Okay. Is there anything else that you're noticing that's interesting or different?
More heart right now.
Okay. Okay. So what happens is, and I just hold my hands there until I sort of feel it cool. Because it's not for me to decide. I'm not in charge. I'm not in any hurry. I just need to let her body do what it needs to do. So, and then the same thing. So I'm going to tap that information and have you look down to the right, up to the left, down to the left, up to the right. Now, is it important to do this with the eyes? Not really, because now the field's expanded and it's grown so much. But what I have found in working with different individuals, obviously when I'm working with somebody via distance, they're not doing that. I'm doing it for them. But for somebody to be standing in front of me, I think it helps to anchor in the changes when they occur. So now we'll just test you again. So hold. Okay, see how strong she is? Just from her body finding that information and finding that pattern. So now I'm going to ask you to do that one more time. So I'm going to have you chew and then bear down like if you were having a baby. Actually, your hormones are pretty, a little bit weak on that side. She went weak on this side again, just a little bit. But does it really matter that it's hormonal? Not necessarily, but I want to clear that for her, so I'll do the same thing. And so here, I'll just do that for you. Okay, and hold. And there she corrected. Okay, now, so that just clears the fight or flight, but did that really address what she was speaking about with her lungs or some of the other physical things? Now, a lot of times when you start to ask about distinctions, there's patterns that form. And sometimes, you can ask, and as you sort of work with your own field, I tell people what's right always feels good. Sometimes you feel like you're making this up, and if you are, you're doing it right. It sounds strange, but you think to yourself, well, I'm hearing voices in my head, or I'm hearing a number in my head. So if I wanted to know, so for instance, the pattern of the information that you want to shift is it the lungs first or the throat? The throat. Okay. So one of the things, and this again, it's just arbitrary. So I'm just going to test you here. I'm not going to push. So I want to just put my hand here. So the right side of the body has to do with the function, and the left side has to do with structure. So I'm just going to hold my hand here, and then I'm going to hold my hand here. So see how just holding my hand changes what's going on in her energy field. And all I'm doing is looking for information. Does it mean that that's a problem? No, but I can tap that in and then and retest it, and she doesn't go strong. So that tells me is there's more information in that pattern, that her body can't see just the fact that it's just. So I can use this, and these are all the points. I could go down her spine, or I can just put my hand here, here, or here, and see if I can find any information that might be useful to her. And that's all I'm doing. I'm just looking for information that might be useful. I'm not trying to change anything. I'm just looking for information. So I'm just going to do that. I'm just going to hold you here. So I'll just put here, here, versus here. So here's strong, not so strong. Okay, but does that matter? No. So I can do it here, on here. So I can hold this point just on my plastic thing, which is a holographic representation. That's okay there. Go here. No. I go back to here, strong. Go back to that one, like playing a piano, right? Getting a different note, I'm getting a different frequency, I'm getting different information. I could look it up, I could tell you what that corresponds to, but it's really not important because I'm not trying to create more of the pattern. And the same thing, I can do it on her head. So if I had the point here versus here, all I'm doing is just connecting a different circuit. So again, I can tap that information in. And just because I just feel like you need that. So look down to the right, up to the left, down to the left, up to the right. Okay, and then what I want to do is I want to retest it. So here, here, no, here, here, here. Oh, I know you stayed strong. So now what I want to test for is, because the body is really creative, it likes to hide things, I'm just going to ask you to open up your mouth. Remember that switchboard, that circuit breaker? So I have you open up your mouth, and I'm going to test that point again. See, she went weak. So guess what? Her body was hiding information from me. Why? I don't know. It's not important, but all I know is that in order for her to see a shift, it's important for me to make sure that that circuit breaker's open, that her body can see the information that's in her field, and that she can utilize it, and that it communicates. Does that make sense? Yeah, so again, so the same thing. Now, there's certain things that, and again, it's over the course of years and playing in the field that I've sort of learned, but you don't have to know anatomy. You can use, you can buy an anatomy book and play with the pictures if you want to play with something physical. But if you know what an apple looks like, you can make an organ look like an apple. You know what a perfect apple looks like, or a perfect watermelon, or whatever it is that you have a frame of reference for, you can utilize in the field. It's because you're creating it. It's just like that projection, So I'm just going to tap in a few points because I sort of feel like, so again, it's like if I were working on a calculator, 1 plus, and all I'm going to do is those master dyslexic point in relation to, so it's like adding on the calculator. That plus, and then I'm going to flip that over and tap that in. So look down to the right, to the left, down to the left, up to the right. Okay. And then I'm going to retest these points. And actually, she's even stronger than she was before. Is there anything that you're noticing, anything in your awareness?
Well, when you mentioned about this side, like this side there's some glands that are swollen and it's been very painful. There's fluid in the air and it feels like it's relieving.
Okay.
Like it doesn't feel as sore as it was.
Okay.
So that's starting to shift.
Okay. And then what I want to do is I want to check. So, do you ever play the game when you were a kid, red light, green light? Like red light go, green light, stop. So when I'm testing, even though she tested strong, if I put my hand on her head, I should see a change in sign, like red light, green light. So it doesn't mean, if she, certain things, and we'll talk about this, you don't want to bring a pain pattern into strength. You want to bring it into weakness. So, because I don't want to increase, if it were pain. So all I'm going to do is I want to test this point, and then I just want to put my hand, and it just tells me if I'm done with that pattern. Yeah, and so there was a change in sign. All I'm doing is just, changing the polarity. So I just want to make sure that there was a change in sign. And, and then I can ask if, with my window, do I have a done window? And right now, actually, I feel like I do have a done window because I feel like that's all your body wants for right now. I don't know if anybody else is kind of feeling that. Please, let me know what you think. Are you tracking that? Yeah. And we have a tendency, I think, in this field to think that we have to keep doing something. until something you have, XYZ, unfolds. But sometimes you just need to let the body revisit whatever it is. And then, so we'll check back in with you after.
All right.
Yeah, okay?
All right, thanks, Lisa.
Yeah. So does somebody else have something that they would like to work on? Yeah, go ahead. So tell me a story.
Hi. I've been dealing with health issues
Okay,
since 2006. I was in a car accident,
okay,
and it brought on fibromyalgia and migraines, IBS, and also it caused a lot of financial issues as well.
okay. All right. And actually, I'm going to put you on the table. I'm just going to have you sit on the table. And again, I'm just tracking information, so if you ask me why one person has to sit on the table, I don't know. I'm in that space of I don't know, but I just sort of feel like it would be a good thing. So I'll just pull this like right here. So you can just sit on that side, yeah. I'll just put you right here.
I'm laying and I'll fall asleep.
No, you can just sit. So again, in tracking what she said. So if I'm kind of going through in the holographic field, what's your name? I'm sorry. Diane. So if I had a holographic representation of Diane here, she's going to be perfect and whole, and and I don't know if you've ever seen what they're doing with technology right now with like 3D printers. Where they, an eagle will lose its beak and they'll actually scan in and create a new beak, and then they'll actually print it out on a 3D printer. It's amazing. So it's sort of the same thing with, Diane here. We're going to have her field where everything is whole and perfect. And then we're going to take that information and access what's going on with her. So I'm going to do the same thing I did with Renee. So I'm just going to test you here just for a baseline. Hold here. So don't let me push down. Okay, now close your hands. Don't let me push down. Okay, so the same thing. Okay, so what I want to do is, I'm just going to, you can put your hands down. I'm just going to tap here. Now, and this is just something intuitively that I'm sensing, is I just want to stimulate like the whole nervous system. Because I kind of feel like in the hologram that I'm seeing is she just went offline. Just like when your computer goes offline and you just want to try to bring it back online. Okay, and I'm just going to tap that in. So again, just look down to the right, up to the left, down to the left, up to the right. Okay, so now we're going to test you again. Hold. Okay, so now you just weak on that side. So we saw her body sort of communicating. She's real strong on this side, but not so much on that side. So, okay, so what I'm going to do is actually I'm going to do this. I'll tap that in. I'm going to say, okay, I want to do this. So when I do this with the head, all I'm doing is, if you imagine like when we're in a trauma, we hold our breath. And so in the holographic field, it's like the diaphragm is on the head. So all I'm doing is I'm just opening up the diaphragm. I could do it in the physical, but it's easier for me to do it on the head. So I'm just open it up and I tap it in, and then I'm going to go. So look down to the right, up to the left, down to the left, up to the right. Okay, now go like that and hold. Okay, now she's got, it's interesting because her body still doesn't see that. Her body can't see that. So there's a few things. So actually what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually ask her field how many patterns. So just hold here because you're strong here. You can let your hand just be open. So I'm going to say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48, 49, 50, 51, 52, 53, 54, 55, 56, 57, 58, 59, 60, 61, 62, 63, 64, 65, 66, 67, 68, 69, 70, 71, 72, 73, 74, 75, 76, 77, 78, 79, 80, 81, 82, 83, 84, 85, 86, 87, 88, 89, 90, 91, 92, 93, 94, 95, 96, 97, 98, 99, 100, 101, 102, 103, 104, 105, 106, 107, 108, 109, 110, 111, 112, 113, 114, 115, 116, 117, 118, 119, 120, 121, 122, 123, 124, 125, 126, 127, 20. Yeah, so I go 20, so I go 19, and then I go 20, and I go 21. No, yeah, so 20, 21 patterns. So I'm going to tap that in. So there's, whatever those patterns are, I don't need to know what they are. I just know that they're in that field of information. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to tap here. And then I'm going to tap that in. I'm going to do, tap that in. Okay, so now look down to the right, up to the left, down to the left, up to the right. Okay, now go like that again. Hold. Okay, now she's strong. So, do I need to know what, you can put your hands down, do I need to know what those patterns are? Not really. Again, it's just information in her field. So wherever anything got ingrained, you know, now, is there anything interesting or different that you're noticing? And it's okay if you don't notice anything. Okay, okay. So I'm going to actually have you put your hands out again, just like that. Now chew, hold. Now what's interesting is Diane said you had you had digestive issues, right? And fibromyalgia, which a lot of times is digestive. But if you remember when I said like that you chewed, that you would go into digestive fight or flight. She's not in digestive fight or flight. So what does that tell me? That somewhere along the line the signals got crossed, that yes, maybe it's manifesting as those symptoms, but it's really probably not the root cause of where those challenges are. So if I were to use, you know, the vertebrae on here, and I'm just going to put my doll down here. So hold here, hold, 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 hold. All of a sudden weak there. You notice when I'm right here, not weak. Here, all of a sudden she went weak. That's where the information is. It's right here. I mean, do you see the information? I mean, it sounds crazy, but that's where her body knows that that information is for that correction. It can't see it. So I can actually go on your spine and just stimulate that area. Because what I'm doing is I'm actually saying to the body, like, pay attention. Here, like, talk to me again. All I'm trying to do is get its attention without even having to know anything. And then the same thing, I'm going to tap it in here. But because just intuitively I feel like there's another, like her body might not be able to see it. Okay, so look down to the right, up to the left, down to the left, up to the right. Okay, and I'm just going to retest you. So I'm just going to go here, hold, here, here, here. So she stayed strong. Now, again, I want to make sure that that's really true. So I'm just going to have you open up your mouth. Hold. Oh, guess what? There's that circuit breaker again. So there's something maybe in that accident, you know, I mean, most people when they're in an accident, they clench their jaw. Is there anything that you want to share? And I can get the mic here, hold on.
After the accident that caused the fibromyalgia, last year I was in an accident and some woman hit me like on the side, and it caused something like in this area where the pain, there's pain in my left ear, my this whole cheek went numb, and the pain, like if I lay on it, there's pain. Like I can't like sleep on that side.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, and again, it's useful information as part of a story. So, so let me just check one thing here. So what I want to do, again, I want to see if it's actually structural or functional. Like, is there actually a structural thing? So hold here. I'm going to go here. Here. So guess what? It's not structural. Here versus here. There she went weak. Here, hold here. Now here, hold. Yeah, see there, you're weaker. Do you feel the difference?
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's something in the function. So that's actually really good news because it's not structural damage. There's something that happened within that body. So we have certain points, and I'm just going to test that. So this is, just hold here. So this is your master brain point. And see when I connect with that circuit, she goes weak. So, and again, I don't have to know what's in that master brain, but for a lot of you who want to access your field and play with this yourself, a lot of times that's where our blocks are. You have, your right brain, your left brain, your master brain. So if there's something that you want to overcome, you can put your hand on, I'm sorry. But if there's something that you want to overcome, and you think about that. Have you ever watched somebody, like, you're on a test and they're like, trying to get it jump started? Oh my gosh. We do this stuff intuitively. Really, truly, we do. We know. We're just incredible beings of energetic vibration and connection. And if we really pay attention to who we are, you can find that information. So if I just, again, tap the master brain and then tap that in. And I want to do this in relation to this. I really feel like I gotta do this for you on both sides. And again, all I'm doing is just sort of creating an awareness. I'm gonna tap that in. Okay, so look down to the right, up to the left, down to the left, up to the right. Okay, so I'm just gonna retest you. Hold here. Okay. Okay, hold. See? So there she had a change in sign. So she stayed strong on both sides. Let me just ask you, here, just unclench your fist for me. So open up your mouth again. Hold. Okay. Hold here. Hold here. Hold here. So see when I go like that? So again, it's those points. It's different points than what showed up for Renee. Now, is it important? No, but again, there's different points. Let me just see here. I think I know. Yeah, it's that one. Yeah, so again, it has to do with that exact point where the jaw connects. So I can, tap that information in, and all I do, is basically I'm connecting those 2 points within the body. Now, I'm going to have you do this. Okay, hold on. All right, so now I'm going to have you do something a little bit different. I'm going to have you look straight up and hold. Okay, I have you look straight down and hold. Okay, I want you to look over there and hold. Okay, I want you to look at me and hold. Okay, look back over there. Now look over here. Okay, so this is where her body can't see the information. You see the difference? Yeah, and you can look at the chart and you can say, oh, okay, well, at this o'clock, it's this system, but I don't want to create more of that pattern, so I'm not even going to tell you what system it is, although I know what system it is. So I want to correct that for you, okay? All right, so can I take off your glasses for a second? Okay. Tap that in. I'll explain to you what I'm doing in a second. Okay, tap that in. So look down to the right, to the left, down to the left, to the right. Okay. All right, so I'm just going to retest you. Hold. So look straight up, hold, straight down, hold, over there, hold, look towards me, hold, and then hold. Okay, so there was a change in sign. Now, again, what's so interesting is her body will start to find that information. The changes can happen immediate. It can happen over a course of 24 hours. It can happen over a week. I've seen so many interesting things happen as you get the body to start communicating with that whole perfect field that exists. I don't know what's going to happen. There are sometimes the things that unfold are nothing short of amazing. You know, I had a particular dog that, actually Renee's dog, you know, Renee called me, and it was just after one of my classes that I came back, and she was in tears because her beloved Honey couldn't walk. And I said, bring her out, put her on the ground, you know, I'll bring some oils and do some of the things that I thought that I knew what to do. And I had just come back from class, so I grabbed my book and started going through the protocol. And I got to this one particular point, and this dog was not able to walk. All of a sudden, she got up. She went over and barked at the neighbor. She peed. And I'm like, you have to come back. You have to finish. Like, in my mind, I have to go through the rest of the steps. But guess what? In her field, she got the information that she needed. And so sometimes, and that's why, you know, getting yourself out of the equation is so important, because as you engage in the magic of your own field, things just unfold in really sometimes seemingly bizarre circumstances. So I'm just going to have you stand up for just a minute, because I want to just test something. And this is part of the reason. So I'm going to have you hold here. So all I'm going to do is just test you neutral. I'm going to go here, okay, and here. So see when, and again, all I'm doing is I'm changing something in her field. You know, where she was strong before, now she's weak. So is it important what the difference is? No, but it tells me, what it does is it gives me a guidance system for what she needs next, what her body's, where it can't see the information. So I'm going to have you sit back up here. Okay? So all I'm going to do, I'm going to have you take off your glasses. So I'm going to actually go behind you. So in these points on the head, you know, you have your sphenoid bones, sort of looks like a butterfly, you know, and so I want to try to pull up and then just pull down. And what I'm going to have you do is I'm actually going to have you, as I pull up and pull down, have you breathe in and then breathe out. Now, so she's really locked up, so let me move your head. So I want you to look down to the right with your eyes, and then up to the left, and then look down to the left, and then up to the right. Okay, I want to tap that in. Are you okay? All right. Did that make you a little dizzy?
Yeah, it's just my neck is like stiff.
It's stiff, right. Yeah, okay. I just want to test you here. Hold on a second. Hold. Versus here. Yeah, so that, I corrected that. Okay, so now, do I have a done window? No, not yet. I can't put my hand through. It doesn't feel done. Does it feel done to you guys? Not yet. So if I'm now, I want to see if I have a window for her neck. So I sort of feel like I do now that I opened up these access points. So I'm going to revisit this, so hold on here. Just hold. Okay, yeah. I think that's where it is. Yeah, I don't think it's the neck. I think it, did you see how you went weak right here? So even though the information, she's seeing it as her neck, the information that her body can't see is here. When I think about the neck and I hold her neck, she's strong. But when I am not, when I go down to not that point, but this point, right there. Do you feel that? The difference? How you go weak? So again, it's not where you think the information, you put your hand down, the information is in the field. Okay, so I'm actually going to do something a little bit different, and we're going to see if that can, okay, so I'm just going to have you hold here. So there's a point in the field, and I don't know why this is, the number was chosen. So I'm going to have you hold here. Don't let me push down. Okay, and because it's pain in your neck, right?
Yeah, it's like the skull, like the lower skull and the neck.
Okay.
I have surgery there.
Yeah, surgery. Okay.
It's just
Now, are you on any medication?
Not any pain medication or anything.
Okay. What medications are you on?
They have me on Cymbalta and Topamax.
Okay.
They like counteract for migraines.
Okay. Okay. So now, and this is the reason I asked about the medication is you can actually have an allergy to a medication, and that's really what the side effects are. So, if I just test you neutral and I think about the Topamax, so you're still strong, but then there's what's called a master allergy point, and I just think about the Topamax and with the master allergy point and see how she goes weak. So that means that there's something in her energy field that's not congruent or in alignment with that. So I want to actually bring that into alignment. So I'm just going to tap there and tap there and say elevation to your nail. So I'm actually going to have you instead, I want you to look down to the left, and up to the right, down to the right, up to the left. Okay. So I'm going to have you just test here with the Topamax and then here. Yeah. So then, now, and what was the other, Cymbalta?
Yeah.
Okay, so Cymbalta. Now that seems to be okay. So your body actually sees what that does. So the the interaction between the two, because sometimes an allergy pattern will throw us off. Again, the same thing. It's not that, if you're harmonized with anything, you can be harmonized with anything in your field, even if it's a drug with lots of different side effects. So, let me just hold on here for a second. Okay, so I'm going to actually ask the information from that point if her body wants to feed the information forward or backwards. And the reason being is sort of like sometimes the body, it has an intelligence and we think that we always have to go forward, but sometimes we have to take a couple steps back. So I'm just going to say feed forward or feed back. So she went back. Okay, so I know that because there was a change in sign with feeding back, that's where your body wants to go. So you can just put your hand down for a second. So I'm going to take that in relation to this, tap that in relation, tap that in relation to this, tap that in. So look down to the right, look to the left. Until that. All right. Okay. Now just hold for her for a second. So I'm going to go. I'm just touching the parts of her back. 2, 3. Now that came strong. So the same thing. If I were to work on this part of her body, here, here, here. So that part that was weak now is strong. I just want to see if I have a change in sign. Okay. Versus here. Yeah. There's a change in sign. Okay. So now, let me just see. So I want to get here. Okay, there. Okay. So I'm just going to test you here versus here. So again, and this is just me tracking information just because I've been doing this for a long time. And I, want to be able to, have some time for questions. I don't know, how am I doing time-wise? I get lost in my time travel. Okay. All right. So there are points, are you okay?
Yeah.
Okay. Is there anything that you're uncomfortable with?
good.
Okay. So I'm going to hold 2 points here, and basically I'm holding the back where the occiput is, and then a point right here in the front. So I'm going to actually have you look down to the right, and I want you to take a deep breath. Okay, and I want you to look up to the left. Okay, take another deep breath in. Okay, and then look down to the left. Okay, take a deep breath in. And then up to the right. And then take a deep breath in and out. Okay. So what's happening when I hold these points is her body actually will start to correct itself. They're subtle movements, but you might see, a lot of different shifts in the perception. So look down to the right again. And then up to the left. Okay, take a deep breath in and out. And down to the left. And then up to the right. Okay. And have you hold here for a minute. So now look down to the right. And then up to the left. Hold there, take another deep breath in and out, and then down to the left and up to the right. Okay, one more. So now look down to the right. And then up to the left. And then down to the left. And then up to the right. Okay. Tap them. Just want to see. You okay?
Yeah, I could actually feel my brain defogging.
Your brain defogged. Yeah. So when you're working with the points on the head, it's almost like it is allowing the body to reconnect, and so it finds the information. Is there anything else that you?
That just feels great.
It feels great. That's good.
I mean, it's amazing because it's been always. It just feels like it's been so long.
Yeah, I don't know if you can see, like, with her physiology, do you see the changes in her coloration? As her body's found the information?
More inside her body,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
The changes in her voice.
The changes in her voice?
Her smile, she's smiling.
Yeah.
Look very relaxed now.
Looks relaxed. So, and actually, I think we have a done window. What do you guys think? Yeah, because I think that, I mean, I could test you some more, but I think it's just a good point to just relax. But, if you wouldn't mind, like over the next course of the next week, just pay attention to what's different. Because as embracing what's different, it empowers us to reclaim those pieces of ourselves that got lost behind. But you can give Maureen some feedback and,
Sure.
just, but thank you very much.
Great, thank you.
Sure, sure. Yeah,
Thanks.
yeah. So does anybody want to work on something non-physical? To see, like as an example? Yeah. I think only reason being is I think it would be helpful for people, if you want to be able to do this for yourself, to find information in the field. And I'll share some other things with you. Go ahead. So tell me a story.
Okay, I have a client, I work with the elderly, and this client is the hardest client I've ever worked with.
Okay.
And every time, every time, even though I'm mentally and emotionally prepared, I get bumped into anger with her, like every day that I work with her. And I know what's going on, so I correct for it, but I would really like to work through this, because if I can work through this, then I can maybe figure out how to help her.
Okay. And your name?
Cindy. Thanks.
I know your name.
I know.
It's just helpful for other people. Yeah, thank you. I haven't seen Cindy in a while. She works with horses. Does amazing things with horses, so, okay, so there's a couple different things, and I didn't bring a pad. Can I borrow your pad for just a minute, or a piece? I hate to do that to you. Do you have a, okay. Sure. You know what? Do you want to bring her the mic there? Then everybody can hear. You want to sit down? You can sit.
Hi. So you're obviously helping people shift. Is this something that's done, or is this something that the body can forget and then go back into and sort of remake those patterns?
Well, generally speaking, most often, once the pattern changes, I mean, and when you start to go into a lot of the emotional patterns and things like that, you will see sometimes individuals go back. I'll tell you one example. A gentleman, he just messaged me on Facebook. He came to the class and he was on crutches. He had been in an automobile accident that left him unable to walk. And Dr. Bartlett was demonstrating something with engineers. And so he was looking for people that he was a woman that had cancer, actually. And he said, I want people who know about structure. Are there any engineers in the audience? So he brought all the engineers up on stage. And then he noticed this gentleman who was on crutches, and he said, oh, an engineer who doesn't know about structure. And he started to work with him, and it literally took less than 20 minutes for him to, he had to walk with these, arm crutches, to be able, like when he first said, okay, he had somebody help him, he walked like this, because it had been 2.5 years since he walked normal. And he said, well, that's not right, and he did some more distinctions within his field. And this man, within 20 minutes was able to walk on stage and sit in a chair. Now, what was so interesting, this man's name is Yuha, that night, I saw him walking in the lobby with his crutches. I'm like, what are you doing? He had become so comfortable and his belief system around not being able to walk. But by the end, it was a 7-day event that I was at, but by the end of the 7 days, he had his crutches and he was walking like this, but he wouldn't let them go. Isn't that funny? But that's, and you think about that as sort of a metaphor, the crutches that we hold on to. So, I think as you build up and you sort of recognize what's in your field, you can kind of, go through there. So I'm actually going to work on something that isn't with either one of these, okay? So, and this, all I'm going to do is draw a line, okay? And again, I'm making this stuff up, what's in the pattern. So I'm just going to write Cindy's name here. And I'm just going to assign a random 6-digit number. Somebody want to give me a number? 5? Okay, so we'll go 5, 6, 7, 1, 4, 3. I don't know why. Okay? So you could tell me your story. You have this client, right, who is negative?
Yes.
Okay, what are the other things in that story?
She is dementia,
Okay.
extreme anger, and when I'm the recipient of the anger, I bump into anger,
Okay.
extreme anger.
I feel like there's still something else, and I don't know what that is. Do you guys feel like there's something else? Yeah. Energetically, I'm tracking something else. So, I don't know. Does she remind you of somebody?
Well, no, but it's a pattern.
Okay.
It's a pattern that happens when I become attacked and overwhelmed. And through the years, I was just thinking about this today, in different situations when I connect the dots of that, okay, attack, overwhelm, anger, I've taught myself to respond differently, but I'm still here.
Okay. Still here.
Does it happen within a certain time of you going there, or does something trigger it or anything?
With her, actually what triggers it is when she just,
She's spent her whole life being nasty, and she's just really good.
well, actually she hasn't. She's a very nice person, but the dementia just manifests by calling me every name under the book and then insulting all of my good intentions, every single thing. So she will find anything that I'm doing and turn it into a negative and as something that is just horrible and should be gone from her.
Okay.
Meanwhile, she's incapable of being alone.
What would you like to do to her?
Lovely fantasies at the moment.
Okay, fantasy. All right. Actually, fantasy takes me into the pattern. That word fantasy takes me into the pattern. I don't know if you guys felt that or not, but fantasy took me into the pattern. Like, she told me all that other stuff. I'm going, yeah, nah. Like, no window, no window, no window. Fantasy, yeah, for whatever reason. So I can test that, So just hold here, just neutral. So I'll go like negative client, no, anger, bump into the pattern, connect the dots, nice person, insult, and I go fantasy. Woo. That took me into the pattern, right? Why? I don't know. It just looked interesting. It sounded interesting. So if you were working on something with yourself, you go, no. And where I know the tendency, and it's sort of, so I like to watch movies like Doctor Strange. I don't watch the news. I go out and walk in the park. I don't meditate in traditional ways, So whatever takes you into that space of non-thought, go there and do that. You'll find what is in resonance with your hologram. And so when I go that, so then I know I can draw a pattern. Does it really matter what I draw? I could draw her chakras, but I just want to just draw. I'm just going to go like this. And I mean, it seems strange, but I'm like, okay, where does that take me? Okay, there. All right. Right there. So now I'm going to see where these take me, these words that I wrote down. They really don't, they just are an energy. They actually doesn't even take me into there. I'm just emptying myself. And actually, so I would think, if I was thinking, I would think I'd want to go here, but I don't want to go there. Fantasy takes me actually up above here to right there. Okay. So then you're saying, now what do you do? Right? You got this pattern. And again, if Cindy were here in the hologram, I don't know. I'm just making it up. It's fun to make stuff up, you know? All right, so all I'm going to do is, you can just close your eyes, okay? So I'm just going to go into this pattern. I'm going to go into her field of information. I'm just going to feel for what looks interesting. And I'm going to just go here. So a lot of times when I'm feeling for things in the pattern, sometimes things can feel sticky. Like I just, like, that actually, whatever that was, kind of made me go like, squinch my nose and like made my jaw a little tight and made this part of my nose feel odd. I don't know what that is. I don't even have to look at that. I can if I want to. But what I want to do is I want to pull at things. I want that over here and I don't want that there. Because this isn't real, right? I'm making this up. So I can do whatever I want to in this pattern. And you know what, I kind of feel like this part of the pattern I want to give some cotton candy to. And it's pink and it's fluffy and maybe there's some blue mixed into it. And I'm going to go like that. I'm going to pull this. Actually, and then I'm going to go like that. And so when I get to a point in the pattern where I'm feeling something different, and it'll just kind of, it just feels different. And go like that. And then it kind of, to me, it just kind of goes down like a roller coaster. Okay, and then all I want to do, and all this is just a reference point, because it's not important about those numbers. So it's 5, 6, 7, 1, 4, 3. And then I want to redraw the pattern and see what's here. Okay. Oh, all right. So that's that, whatever that is, okay? All right, I want to go back into that pattern, because I'm not, whatever this is, I still am, it's different, but it's not where I want to be. Okay, so just close your eyes again. That actually made me want to take a deep breath. I don't know. Okay. I do the same thing. I can't. All right, so is there anything interesting that you noticed? If you didn't notice anything, that's fine.
Actually, in the first part of it, I noticed the entire right side of my body kind of opening up and feeling releasing. And the second time as we went through, I started to picture what I think of as my boundary space, my emotional, intuitive, whatever, soul person. And what I noticed before when I was trying to sort this out at home was coming into her home and feeling strong and leaving and feeling like it was just pockmarked everywhere. It was horrible. And so now, when I look at that, and I spent the day with her today, I feel more connected through it, as if the boundary has restored a lot of itself.
Yeah, so that's different.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw, it's interesting, during the second pattern, it was almost like a garage door. Do you go out a garage door? Mm-hmm. You go out a garage door. It's funny because I got a real visual of this door, but then I saw purple, like it filled with purple, like purple light, like in my mind's eye as I was feeling through whatever that was. I'm making this up, right? Is this real? Well, you know what? In the field, it is. It's about playing. It's about accessing information or not information, things that are available to us. And the 6-digit number, if there's a field of remote viewing, and it's basically assigning a coordinate. So all I'm doing is assigning a coordinate to this space and time. I like to rip these up. I don't like to keep them after I'm done with somebody, because to me that pattern doesn't exist anymore. But you can play with this for yourselves. So you don't necessarily have to get into the physical aspects of doing what I did. Although if you realize that there are points that intuitively you'll know, and if you truly see yourself as whole and perfect, and know that everything you need to heal yourself is available to you. And sometimes it's even, saying like, I really need the wisdom of this person. I know it's in the field. Can you bring this person to me? I was just at the Wellness Expo in Los Angeles, and I want to launch this company. And it's not in my scope of skills. And, I had a long flight out there, and my friend was working, and she's like, I got you a ticket to this expo. And I thought, I'll go. Walked around, kind of see who's in resonance with me. Lots of people have lots of interesting things, but nobody I really cared to stop. I had got myself something to eat, but I'm gonna leave. Up pops this guy, like real happy, with his shirt on, media pass, like plops down right next to me as I was getting up to leave. And I said, wow. I said, you're in the media. I said, what do you do? He said, oh, I'm a journalist, but that's not really what I do. I have this company that works with socially conscious companies and helps them launch their businesses on e-commerce. And I'm going, oh, hello. You're just the person I was wanting to talk to. The universe brought you to me. And not only that, I'm writing this book, and his father's not only a writer, but a publisher of consciousness books. I mean, could I have dreamed up this? And if I was walking around there trying to look for him, he was wearing a goofy hat and like some real colorful vest. Would that have been the person that necessarily, if I was in my right brain, my right mind, that I would have thought? But I was like, you're just the person who I asked for to help me with this. I need your card. And we walked around for like an hour and a half after. And, that's how the field works. We don't have to live in a field of lack or fear. We can play in those fields. The media tries to send that to us all the time. I don't watch TV. I like my, the DVDs that I watch. I mean, one of my prescriptions for you would be to go see that movie Wrinkle in Time, which was a book that I read, and it comes out on the 9th. I think that's probably as close to what this field is. And it's interesting, sort of as the consciousness of the planet changes, that these movies are being brought out in the media, and it's almost like, okay, we're ready for it now. We've evolved. Our hearts are open. We need to really understand that we're not separate, that we are it's this collective oneness. that were so powerful that we work together with, open hearts, that this field is infinite. And, ironically, I'm not really seeing people right now because I need to stay focused on a couple of the things that I need to do. So when Maureen asked me to do this, I thought, well, I just came in from Philadelphia. I lost my cell phone. I had all kinds of craziness unfold, but I'm like, no, you know what? This is where I'm supposed to be. This is how things are meant to unfold. And I didn't have time to prepare for my presentation other than, the little bit that I put together, but I knew that the field would bring me exactly what everybody's heart needed to hear and the information that's appropriate for this time. And, I want to thank you, and thank you very much, Cindy, for being with us tonight, and and I invite you to explore the magic and embrace it and empower yourselves. And if you have any questions, I'm open for questions. Do you want your book back?
So this was wonderful playing with you here.
Oh, thank you.
What kind of is opening up for me is the idea that I could sit with my holographic field in not in meditation necessarily, but in listening or in relating, and ask my holographic field to to kind of give me what I need, as we sit together. And I wondered if you had any comments or ideas or suggestions about evolving that idea.
I lost the last part of that again, so.
I just wondered if you had any ideas how to evolve that, any comments or ideas about evolving that.
I think with all of us, we all have the opportunity to be teachers. We all have the opportunity to be students. And I was a student not that long ago. And one of this very wise person said to me, she did a reading for me. So she did a reading. She doesn't know me. I was given her name. And she said, I just want to understand I have the right person. And she said, busy, 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 busier than anybody can even imagine, but not with the things that most people think of. And I said, yeah, that would be me. That would be me. I have lots on my plate. Most people who know me know I don't have normal sleeping hours and lots of things going on. But one of the things that she said, and this was, I think, one of the wisest things that I had somebody tell me, and she said, I don't want to offend you. I said, believe me, I'm calling you because I want the truth. Like, I'm not looking for somebody to sugarcoat my world. I want to know, okay, if I want to do these things in my life, what do I need to know? And she said, you need to let go of control. And she said, I'm not saying that you're a controlling person. She said, but what you need to realize is that everything that you want, the field's already responded to. It's already there. So in this field of information, if you want to connect with your own holographic field for what it is that you want, truly trust and know that it's there. And it's a hard thing to, Einstein, there's a really interesting book called Einstein's Dreams, where they looked at all of the different realities that he viewed, and it's the same day, but viewed different ways. And you think about that, like how we think that we live our lives. But what if it was, and I used to do this all the time, it used to freak me out when I was a kid, because my dreams are so vivid that I never really knew if my dream was really the awakened time or that this was the dream. And then, so when I started to play with it, and I thought, well, again, it's about asking open-ended questions. So if there's something you want, so if, give me a for instance of what it is that you would like to shift in the field. Is there?
So a physical condition that I actually can return to wholeness with without surgery.
Okay. So I guess then asking an open-ended question. So if there were a solution to fix what I need to have in the physical, where would it be? And then command your body, like it's not even it's just a command, go find it now, and scan, just put your hands together and scan. And Dr. Bartlett will call it a technology. He said this information came through the crystal angels of the 17th dimension. For those of you who don't believe in angels, that's okay. Call it whatever, universal consciousness, maybe that was in his holographic field. But wherever that is, there's information, you pull it out. We can't see the inner workings of the computer or, the field or why, those videos work fine when I tested them and now they don't want to communicate. I don't know. Sometimes it's a lapse in communication, and sometimes you feel, it's sort of like even running your finger across something, you feel something sticky. Okay, well that feels sticky, or that feels fluffy, or that feels that just feels yuck. And so where do I go in that field where there's no yuck? And sometimes and bring me that right person that can shift this for my field. And actually Dr. Bartlett he's come out with over 200 different modules. So so this is sort of strange. I'll show you what they look like. These are probably not real good representations. But he found that you can actually, again, within patterns of information, you can actually load, they just look like crazy little pictures. But as you stare at them, with heart-centered intent, there's information in those patterns. And there's literally now over 200 different modules that have been created. Now, is it just for him to create? No, that's part of the reason, there's 4 of us that he's called in to help develop this next part of the information. Basically you can take the information and tap it in, or you look at it with heart center intent. This one actually happens to be for blood sugar balance. Over 99% of the problems are all related to blood sugar. I can hold it, for those of you who don't know where the pancreas is, it's on the left side of the body. I can, create a healing circle, just an open-ended circle where information, you can do it to yourself and just look at that picture and tell me if you feel anything or not feel anything. Again, it's just patterns of information. What I notice when I look at them is different colors become more vibrant. Different parts of it seem to activate, but is it just for him to be able to create these? No. The same way, you sit at your computer, you create something, you ask, you go into a space of meditation and the information is brought to you. A lot of these sacred geometry images that were created hold technology and information. And what happens is when you get enough of what it is, your hand will just sort of dissipate. And sometimes you'll feel gurgling but there's a lot of things, for physical, non-physical. And he created one that would be exactly what it's in my other book at home. So, yeah, I can email it to you. You can load it in yourself. Yeah. So, does anybody have any other question? Wow. Nothing. Well, thank you, Maureen, for the really generous. Did you have a question?
Yeah, where do you go to study? And this is such a beautiful modality.
So the next class is in Chicago next week, is with Dr. Bartlett. He calls it, so there's different aspects of it. This is completely different than what I taught tonight. It's called Mastering Harmonics Resonant Technology, and it has a lot to do with the work of Dr. Reese. Dr. Reese was a teacher for Dr. Bartlett, and he created these crystal modules, and they were a technology, and he would lay them on people when he would work. I think he was a chiropractor. It's sort of interesting that he would, but he would get this information, and he would lay it, and people would have miraculous healings. And Dr. Bartlett had actually purchased a set of these from Dr. And they probably looked really hokey, but at some point, Dr. Bartlett kind of became afraid of them, and he get rid of them. I don't want to have anything to do with them. It wasn't where he was at, but he had somebody that's a friend of his who knew nothing about Dr. Reese call him at 7 o'clock in the morning one morning, and she said, "I've got Dr. Reese on the party line for you." And he's like, "What?" That he was wanting to, the time was now on the planet that this technology needed to be brought back into consciousness, and that it was for the good of humanity, and that we were ready to utilize it. So you think about, back in 1947 when, they were talking about lasers or holograms or, and I'm sure people thought that it was crazy. And, to be able to think that you were able to use a phone without being hooked up to a cord, or even homeopathy, that there's an information in a remedy that can shift, as it's cut down, and it seems so contrary to our beliefs where we think more is better, that less could actually be more powerful. And so, to answer your question, so that is the mastering. He teaches mastering energy dynamics, which is the actual points on the head, and you do some of the modules. There's a class in April in Los Angeles. I think it's April 9th. And once you go to a class, you can jump on his webinars, and it's $60 for a 1 hour, and then a 3 hour is I think $175. But I don't miss a class, because each, and it seems strange, like people are like, are you having an affair with somebody? Because you go to the class, but I'll tell you the field of information and you can ask Renee this, when I got back and I was doing step by step through what I did for her dog, it was this. But guess what? The field has expanded. There's so many people that have learned it. There's all of these steps that are no longer in there. They're not necessary because they become a part of global consciousness now. And there's new information that's being brought through. So it's not, there are certain things that are still taught, but he'll go, and it's frustrating because somebody will come and they'll say, well, I gotta, use the manual, I need a manual to follow. No. You're better off if you don't even look at it. I'm a big note taker, so I take very detailed notes, but again, the information's in the field. So there's lots of things that you can do. You can even photo reading, or you say, okay, scan, I want the information, and pour it into my head. I don't really find that works as, because it's fun to play in the field and develop new distinctions, and you never know what's going to happen when you work with it. I had a gentleman, it was a call through, it was a referral through a physician. One of his good friends had a stroke, and he was at Allegheny General. And they called to see if I could help because this man's brain function wasn't going to come back. And because he was hooked up to so many different things, I couldn't work on him. I actually worked on his son-in-law, who were in the same room, and as I'm putting, as a holographic representation for his father-in-law, working on the points, and he's doing all sorts of interesting things. What was so interesting was this particular gentleman, and this is where our minds go. He developed what they thought was a brain bleed the next day. And so, of course, then it's like, oh, was there something that you did? I didn't work on the physical. But what's interesting is he had complete restoration of brain function. And he said things about what I did without even having a conscious knowing of it. And could recollect and, has had no problem since. But I'm not working on him. I'm working on the field of information. I'm working on this particular son-in-law who has a good heart connection to this gentleman that was in need. I mean, he was a stranger to me. But it doesn't matter. I mean, if the field of information's there and that person field is in resonance with it, it'll take the information. So you can't really hurt somebody by doing this work. So sometimes people will say, well, is it okay if I do this on behalf of XYZ person? Well, of course, you're doing it from the heart. You're not trying to manipulate somebody for your own ill will. Hopefully not. I mean, anybody, I think, that would come to any of these lectures, it wouldn't be the case at all. Everybody here has beautiful, open hearts that they want to help somebody else and serve them. So, if you feel the need, okay, well, I don't know how to help this person, but okay, let's see if there's something in the field that can assist in facilitating a different outcome. I don't even have to be attached to what that outcome is, but something that would be better for their highest and greatest good. So, yeah, but you could go on. I mean, I can give you the website if you're curious. And yeah, it's a shame because he just did the one in Philadelphia last weekend or 2 weeks ago. Are there any other questions? No?
When you were talking about the number of patterns you were dealing with,
Uh-huh.
are those patterns of disease or patterns of healing? Are they both?
No, you know what? It's just information. Again, it's just information. Even like a label, like for a disease state, it becomes a field. You think about an oncologist. They go to school, they study, they're expecting certain outcomes. I just worked with this girl. I worked with Dr. Bartlett and 2 other people on this young girl at the last class, because he will do private appointments in the evenings, and so I assist him. And this young girl has had cancer for 2.5 years. She's 15. And it was really interesting in going into the field. And I kept hearing bundles and fibers, and I'm thinking, and I don't say anything unless it keeps echoing in my head when I'm with him, because it's his client, it's his patient that he's working with. And then finally I said, I don't know what bundles and fibers are. I said, but I just have to say it. And he said, oh, Dr. Reese talked about that. And he said, oh, that makes sense. I don't know. I don't know where it came from. So if you're in that state, certain belief system, you have, again, a lot of times if he's working with somebody that's out of balance with cancer, and you'll always hear me use those words, out of balance with a disease state. There's the field that the doctors have their belief system, so you have to work with that field because it's a very strong morphic field. You have to work with the family patterns. You have to work not just with the belief systems of the individual, And the other gentleman that I was working with, his name's William, he's amazing. He worked with a gentleman, 2 months to live, had pancreatic cancer, out of balance with pancreatic cancer, and William kept playing. He goes, I don't find it. I don't see it. I don't know where it is. I can't find it. And the man went back, and they couldn't find it. And they put him through 12 different tests. And William said, I don't know. I just went to a place where I couldn't find it. Because even with a disease state, that's just one possibility in a realm of infinite possibilities. So you go to that place where you can't find it. Because it's just not there. So, the same thing. So, thank you.
We were turning it on and off. Thank you, Lisa.